All right, everybody. I just wanted to introduce ourselves. My name is John Groth. I'm one of the attorneys here at Groth Law Firm. I also have attorney Jerry Konkel and attorney Ryan Truesdale. We're going to talk today about the vaccine injury compensation program. There's some breaking news when it comes to this and how it relates to timelines and some time to discuss what the federal government is going to do to allow certain vaccines to be what's on or off the table. A lot of really technical jargon here. Just to get us started, Jerry, can you talk about what this means and what the history is behind this?
Yeah, good morning, John. Well, as we've talked before, when you're in the vaccine program, there are a couple of unique aspects of it, and one of them is whether your injury is a table injury or a non-table injury. And if you're injured, it doesn't make it a whole lot of difference to you, but it does make a difference to lawyers. So recently, starting last summer, the Department of Health Services under the previous administration was intending to make some changes to the table, which would have affected the ability of people to make claims for shoulder injuries for a disease called syncope, which is basically fainting, and eliminating the automatic provision that new childhood vaccines are added to the table and added to the program automatically. So that was a proposal, I think it was last July or August. It actually came into being in January, or at least it was very close to coming into being in January. And then when there was a change in the administration, that those provisions to make those changes to the program were taken out, or at least put on pause by the new administration and the new secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services in Washington, D.C. And where we stand now is that the change was put on pause, and the administration is in the process of making that pause permanent. In other words, taking away those changes and leaving the table as it is. So it's a big deal.
Interesting. So what's the next step? So right now we have some pauses, some delays. Ryan, can you talk about that? What should we be concerned of, number one, or concerned about, number one, and then number two, is there anything that people can do to maybe improve the dialogue or change what the administration is going to think or do?
Good morning, John. At this point, it's all good news. It's all really looking good for people who are injured in getting their best interests forward. So as of March 12th, this was filed by the current administration. It's called the National Vaccine Injury Compensation Program, Revisions to the Vaccine Injury Table. So now we do see these shoulder injuries, these fainting issues, and the catch-all category all being thrown in. What this means is if a person is injured from a vaccine, and if they do, for example, have a shoulder issue, as long as it falls within certain guidelines, the vaccine is presumed to be the cause of the injury. And therefore, they're more likely to be able to recover through the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program. So ultimately, this is really good news for anybody that does get a vaccine. What I think is a good comment here, looking at this proposal that was on March 12th, it does say that they rescinded the final rule because it's concerned that could have a negative impact on vaccine administration. So overall, this seems to help with public policy. There were also some concerns that the other rule that was under the last administration was being brought through with haste. So ultimately, they're seeing this as, let's continue the way that things have been. Let's try to protect people who are injured, and let's make sure that proper guidelines are followed. So ultimately, we're in a pretty good spot with this.
Thanks, Ryan. So you're licensed in the U.S. Court of Federal Claims, is that correct?
That's correct.
And so nationwide, or really internationally, people who are injured because of a vaccine have to file a claim in a certain court that's in Washington, D.C.
Yes, the U.S. Court of Federal Claims. So, if, for example, somebody in Brooklyn, New York, were to get a shot, and if they do have some shoulder issues after that shot, they can talk to me, and I am licensed to take care of this, which ultimately would happen through DC. One thing I did forget to mention that we were talking about a little bit earlier is if a person wanted to have a say in this. Right now, and when I say have a say in this, I'm talking about the law change, which is going to be going back to the way it was. So there is a 30-day period after publication of this rule. While it was filed on March 12th, the publication isn't until March 17th. So as of March 17th, this is when it's going to be published. A person can go to the Department of Health Services website and they can put a comment down. We'd encourage everybody, it's your civic right, to say something here. While it's our opinion, this is a really good thing that's going to be happening. We'd certainly encourage people to say, you know, we support this, but obviously if you had strong feelings in another way, that is an option that you could do. And that link will be posted somewhere.
And Ryan, let me just add that these public comments are really important. The change that came in was there was quite a bit of comment against it, but the change that rescinded it was very much so influenced by public comment. So this is not one of those things where, okay, I'll call my congressman, but nothing will happen. These things are actually important, and they pay attention to public comments, especially in this climate when you're trying to get the general public to embrace vaccines, and this is certainly something that will help that cause.
Thanks, Jerry. So in general, what we'll be doing is putting some links in our notes. We'll have a link to grothlawfirm.com so you can see more information about what kind of ways we can help people who are injured because of a vaccine administration. And also a link to the Department of Health and Human Services so they can hopefully comment and be part of this process. Jerry, do you have any final thoughts as it relates to what somebody should do if they do want to talk to a lawyer? Who should they call? What should they do?
Yeah, the interesting thing about the program that we're talking about, the vaccine compensation program, is first of all, it's something that oftentimes people don't know about. Doctors are starting to know about it more and more. But the other thing is many lawyers don't know about it. It's a specialized area of practice. And in fact, only lawyers that are licensed to practice in the Court of Federal Claims can make a claim. So we're obviously not the only ones in the country, but we're probably among a handful or more in the state of Wisconsin that does that. But we do have a national practice, and we practice all over the country. And I even have a client, believe it or not, in Siberia. Luckily, he had his vaccine here, but he lives in Siberia. So we're now an international practice. So what I would say is, as with any injury, if you think that you are injured, see your doctor. Make sure that you get the help that you need, and to a certain degree, documentation. But then after that, if you have concerns and you think that is something that might be appropriate for either this program or anything else, you know, car accidents, those types of things, call an attorney, a specialized attorney who practices in this area, and certainly call or email us at the information that's in the notes.
All right, thank you very much. Hopefully this was helpful to everybody who listened in or watched. Again, if you have any questions, grothlawfirm.com, or if you have any questions about vaccine in particular, you can call 414-999-0000. That's our line. You can ask for one of our vaccine attorneys. There are 4 of us who are licensed to practice vaccine law before the U.S. Court of Federal Claims. Again, 414-999-0000. You can call, again, internationally. Anywhere in the United States, we can help you for a vaccine claim. And certainly, we'll try to get a hold of you, or we can try to talk to you if it's an international call also. growthlawfirm.com. Thanks, guys. We will talk again soon about the next thing that's going to come down the pipe when it comes to vaccine administration. This is very interesting. It's certainly an amazing time to be alive when we're dealing with all this stuff. It's really fascinating science. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.